I'm Eric Loy, and welcome to Eric Loy Interviews. On this podcast, we talk with folks from the VTuber community on their channels, their talents, their stories, where they come from, and their plans for the future. We are joined by Meonji. Hi.
Hi. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for coming over. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Meonji. I am a Dust Bunny VTuber. Primarily, I am streaming over on Twitch. I am soon to be moving over to YouTube as well. I am a variety streamer, but I'm most comfortable in JRPGs like Persona and Zelda, and also some horror games and visual novels.
So, are you someone who enjoys the long con horror games or the jump out and grab you jump scare horror games?
Oh gosh. You know, my heart would disagree, but I really do love a good jump scare. But it is kind of fun, like games like Misao and Mad Father, which they're old RPG Maker games. If you've not played them,
I know all about Mad Father. Yes,
they have this kind of like. Just the atmosphere of them keeps you tense through the entire playthrough, and I love that kind of horror.
Yeah,
like you can never quite get comfortable feeling.
Oh yeah. I haven't played it, but I've seen folks play Mad Father, and I can tell you this: you don't know where it's coming from. So
I know
that's just the only clue I'm going to give, because you got to experience it for yourself.
Oh yeah, no spoilers here, not today.
No, just be forewarned. So when did you get started with streaming?
Actually, we just passed a year of streaming last week.
Now your Twitch partner thing's coming up too, isn't it?
My streamiversary was on the 23rd, so we just passed it. Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, I actually had an unbelievably lucky kind of experience. I started streaming with kind of a group of friends completely by happenstance. I just kind of knew a few people here and there that also were thinking about streaming. We all got the gumption at the same time. And I've been really lucky that I made it to affiliate like in about a month, I would say.
Well, I mean, there's some skill involved. I mean, come on.
I don't know. I think I just was having a good time, and hopefully people have a good time when they hang out and stream as well. And we've had just a lot of really awesome memories already in such a short time.
That's really good. And it didn't take you too long. How long did it take for you to be comfortable with it, though?
Oh, we're still working on that. I would say my first 6 months, I was just horribly shy. People who were regulars in my stream or even like in my Discord server would say, "Oh, come on, like you're so fun, you're so this, like it's okay, just be yourself." And now I stepped out of the box and they're trying really hard to get me back in, and I just can't. We're not going back.
The horses have left the barn.
Exactly.
And the barn is on fire. You ain't getting back into that one. So
no, we left at a clip.
Yes, right. Now, shoes on and everything. So was this what you were looking? Were you looking for some place to get out, enjoy yourself, and enjoy entertaining people?
I think so. My background is not at all related to entertainment or content creation. I actually went to school. I went to school for English, literature, and linguistics, and became an English teacher.
Oh my!
I moved over. I moved over to South Korea after graduation, and I lived there for, my gosh, about half of my life.
Wow.
And so I was teaching primarily, and the longer I got into it, I started working with younger kids as well as middle school. And that's just so fun. It's this like teaching is just improv constantly, because of course you've got, you have your lesson plan and you have the information that you try to convey to students.
Right.
But you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. If you're a teacher that cares that cares about the kids, then you know that you can't, that one size is not going to fit all, no matter what you do.
Oh, absolutely. And in teaching children who have different learning styles, and because in a lot of situations I was teaching subjects in English, not just English as a language, you have to combat different levels of English understanding. So that's kind of where I started. I had to kind of learn ways to make things really fun. So I had to learn how to make like PowerPoint games, or if I was teaching history, it's kind of boring just to be like, in 1982, this happened.
Right.
So I started like learning all of the history and then just telling stories. And I noticed that my students were getting higher scores when it came to midterm and finals, and they were listening more and having a really good time. And I was like, you know what? This is really fun. I'm having a great time.
That is wonderful. I'm glad to hear that, because teachers always get kind of the bum rap in here in the United States, and the job is you get thanks if you find ways to get thanks sometimes. You look and see somebody who may have been struggling coming in, doing well coming out. Maybe that's your thanks.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I had a handful of students that either came in not caring about school at all or not caring about English. Because honestly, if you think back, I don't know if did you have to take a second language in school when you were growing up?
I really wish I did. I really wish I did. My second language is Sesame Street Spanish.
Amazing.
Yeah,
That's a good start.
I can count to about 15, and I know where the exits are.
There you go. The important things.
Yeah, but I really do wish I'd have learned it back then, because it seems to be easier. Some people say for younger kids to do that. Did you find it easy to teach the South Korean students English, or did they already have kind of a background in it?
Well, there has been quite a long history of, there's a program called EPIC with a K. And it's like a government system that implemented teachers for English specifically in all public schools.
Okay.
And so that way everyone has a very basic experience with English. And Korea, along with lots of other countries, have a system of, I guess like in English, the word would be academy. In Korean, the word is hagwon. And it's basically school after school.
Oh, okay.
So you go to school all day, and then when your normal school is done, you go to these specialty schools, and they might be subject-based or skill-based, and kids get their schedule just packed with these after-school programs.
And maybe it gives them a little less time to go out and do bad things.
True. But almost, in some cases, almost to like a detriment. When you've got kids who are maybe 12, 13, who go to school from 7 a.m. to 11 o'clock at night, 6 days a week.
Yeah, that's a bit
They don't get to do much of anything.
Yeah.
Which also made it more important to me, as someone who didn't grow up being educated that way, that I provide some fun and entertainment in a classroom. And the longer I was in the classroom and the more things that I learned to make things like fun and entertaining, the more I really liked it. It's kind of like that class clown that has the class laugh at them the first time, and then they're like, this. I need more of this.
And then they start like stapling their hand to the wall, doing all sorts of things. No, really, look at this,
Right.
But when you were there, did you learn Korean?
I did. Actually, I went through, it's called 사회 통합, which would translate into like social understanding. And it was it took me about 1.5 years to get through it. It's a government implemented program to get your permanent residency at the end if you pass the exams and the interviews.
Oh, cool.
So I was teaching.
Yeah. What I've heard people try to learn Korean outside of that, and maybe learning to write is easier than learning to listen and comprehend.
That's actually something that's said very commonly. It's because Korean has, they have a writing system that's based on syllables. And so it's kind of like they have, the way that they build their writing is with consonants and vowels, just the same like as in English, and then they get put together in these like syllable blocks.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So if you it's a matter of just like learning an alphabet rather than if you were learning Mandarin and there were like 10,000 different characters to have to learn,
Oh my gosh. And learning Chinese too. I mean, you just said just Mandarin, and then there's the other different Chinese variations
Mm-hmm.
to learn from.
Right.
I would just give up. Like, no, sorry. But with this, I mean, obviously, how you ended up teaching these kids, you could hear it in your voice that it was very fulfilling for you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
So why are you here?
Why am I here? So after some time, I would say altogether, I taught for about 12 years.
Mm,
And then it was just kind of like the work culture is just not sustainable. It's 6 days a week. Sometimes I could be in office up to 16 hours a
oh,
day.
yeah.
And there's 10 vacation days in a year, not non-consecutive. It's just like this is a holiday, you have a day off.
Oh, that's
And
rough.
so after some time, I was like, maybe it's time to come home. I've done what I can do. My goal when I got there was my permanent residency. I loved my time living in Korea.
Hmm.
And then, so after getting it, I was like, well, I've done this. Like now the world is mine, right? And
Right.
I didn't want to give up for a while. And then finally I was like, well, you know what? This was my goal and I got the thing. So maybe there's more I can do.
Yeah.
Um,
And you came back to us.
and I came back here.
Yeah. Well, it really that's wonderful to hear that you've got such a great experience doing that.
Hmm.
And you come back here, and with that, you did you develop or find at that point that you were a person that people were entertained by?
I don't know if I've ever kind of had the thought like, oh, people are so entertained by me.
Hmm. Yeah.
I think when I'm with a group of people, whether it's streaming or whether it's my friends in real life, I just want people to have a good time.
Hmm.
And so I try to be like pleasant and fun and amenable, and I just want to have a good time too, right? This is
Right.
my party, right? I'm living for a party of one, and that one is me.
Yeah. Yeah. And but this is a little different audience too. I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
getting in front of students to me, because I was in radio for 100 years, and
Oh wow.
I could talk to 1,000 people on the radio, 2,000.
Hmm.
That's fine. Get me in front of 10 people, and I'm looking for the
Hmm.
door. You know, it's a lot different. Um,
Oh yeah, for sure.
Now your audience between that and this is a lot different too. Now you're in a
Hmm.
room by yourself, talking to people who may be
Right.
on the other side of the planet, maybe where you just left. That are
Right.
that. So how does that change? Is the feeling different for you?
I definitely think there's something different in not physically being in the same place.
Hmm.
And in some ways, I don't know if it's because my audience in general are more peers, because of course, I like to keep an 18 plus space, not for any particular like adult reason, just like I'm an adult. I'd rather have conversations with adults,
Right.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think some of that might be because I'm talking to who I see as peers rather than like educating children who, you have a job, you have to be professional, you're nurturing children who are growing up and learning about the world. You want to be a good influence.
Right.
So there's a difference there. So I don't know if that's the reason or if it's the physical reason, but in a lot of ways, I kind of felt more empowered to just kind of be myself
Hmm.
the longer that I started streaming this way.
Did it help having the avatar?
I think so. Not that like there are some parts of Munji that look like me. I have red hair, for example, in real life.
Oh no.
Unfortunately, I am not a rabbit on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am, unfortunately human, but
Yeah.
there is just something about having some anonymity even with an avatar,
Mm-hmm.
where you can say the things that you might be too embarrassed to say,
Right.
or something that like I've talked about with friends before is that we kind of live in an era where nobody wants to be caught caring too much.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
So I feel like in some cases, if you're really passionate about something, especially if it's like a hobby, you don't want to say anything. You're like, oh man, like if I accidentally talk too much about this book that I just read, people are going to think I'm weird. Or, I felt really moved by this video game, but if I tell people that they should play it, they're going to think I'm a nerd. But I feel like with an avatar and being on the internet, I don't have to worry so much about that.
Mm. Yeah. Okay.
Because at the Mhm.
Yeah, you can play the fool a little bit even,
Mhm.
and it's like you have that just a little bit separation that keeps the comfort
Right.
zone for you, and maybe you don't get too red faced while doing it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's a very weird kind of relationship that I think some VTubers specifically have with their avatars.
Yeah.
Because there are instances where I would say, yes, I am Meonji. The things that I say and talk about, that's my humor. That's what's going on in my head. These are conversations and relationships I'm building.
Mm-hmm.
But then there are times where I'm like, oh, Meonji's my baby, right? Like I've created her, with the generous help of like artists and riggers
Right.
and, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And
But
it's you and it's not you.
exactly.
Wow. It's you when you want it to be.
Right.
And it's not when Mungie does something that folks are like, huh? No, that's Mungie.
Oh my gosh, so embarrassing. So glad I'm not her.
I feel sorry for her.
Honestly.
So were you a fan of VTubers before you started with your friends in this?
A little bit. So I grew up with a lot of siblings, and so the Nintendo was kind of like the hub of socializing. And when I moved to Korea, and even before that, I went to university in England. So I had kind of left home and left everybody I knew and my family, like quite at a young age. Whenever I felt isolated or lonely or by myself, I would go to the first group I can think of would be the Game Grumps.
Yes. Yeah.
And I could go home on a Friday after work, after school, and turn on a Game Grumps playlist and just run it for the entire weekend. and it was just that kind of like, because that was the relationship that I had with my siblings.
Yeah.
It felt so comfortable to listen to that in the background.
Yep.
And then from there, you find like other streamers. And I want to say that one of the first VTubers that I actually saw, I think, would have been Ike Eveland.
Oh, okay.
He is a Niji Sanji streamer.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up, I had just moved home. So I wasn't working yet. I was just kind of getting my bearings. And I ended up going onto YouTube right when his wave were having their debuts.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, this is really interesting. What a cool mix of art and games and streaming and entertainment. Like, this is really fun.
I can see how it would catch somebody like that. And to know what it's become, and the ability now for so many people whose talents we normally wouldn't have seen to be able to display them in so many different ways, whether it's just, being there for gaming or collaborating with someone. A lot of people are doing music, cooking. Some folks are doing education online. And there's so many different ways people are doing this. Art online for sure, and music. What I'd like to think. What would these folks? What would you have done if you didn't have this outlet?
Right, exactly. And there are some people like I really love when people do karaoke streams. I think it's so fun. In real life, I love going to karaoke. So I love watching even people that I might have never seen before. I will look for a karaoke stream to vibe with. And sometimes people are just so talented. It's like, oh my, like I can't believe you aren't a singer. Like, what is going on?
Oh yeah, that's what I do enjoy that very much with the interviews. I'll if someone's done a cover, I'll bring it in and we'll play it. And
Hmm.
we actually just a plug of my own thing here a little bit. We're going to be doing another music special coming up in December for the guests.
Ooh,
Yeah, I'm looking
that's
forward to that. But
awesome.
the fact that there's all these voices, there's all these talents that
Hmm.
would have just been sitting there doing their, second shift 4 to midnight,
Hmm.
6 days a week, and we'd have never heard from them. And now we get to enjoy it.
Right.
It's if you don't find something that you enjoy, then I feel sorry for you.
Hmm.
I,
So true.
I mean, I grew up on 3 channels on my TV. We didn't have internet or nothing like that. We dialed on a rotary phone. Look that up, kids. Um,
Oh
so
gosh.
yeah, I mean, but we had, that was our limit. Besides, socialization. People now have
Hmm.
so many choices. And if you're
Yeah.
bored, that's your fault.
Exactly. There's too much to do.
Yeah, there's something. If you don't want to do your stuff, do some of my stuff.
Right. Right.
You know. So now that you got it going, you say you've been really pleased with how it started.
Hmm.
Did you even give a thought to be where you are now after a year when you started?
Oh my gosh. Absolutely not. I am a serial quitter of so many things.
Mm.
I'm so good at quitting. So when I was first when I first made the jump and said, "Okay, I'm not just going to talk about it anymore. I'm actually going to try the streaming." I was so sure that I would maybe stream for like a week or two and then get discouraged like in my own head and then never do it again. So, I was so sure of it that when I was getting a model, I actually commissioned like a chibi model instead because
Yeah,
they were much cheaper and like they're just small cute little things. I'm like, "Okay, this will be great." And then when I quit in a week, I can be less embarrassed about how much money I put into this hobby
yeah,
because that's the cycle of things. You quit and you're like, "Oh, but my money."
yeah. That's true. Yeah.
Um, and I made it through. It's been like a year and a couple weeks, and I don't think I've ever taken more than like 4 days off at a time. And when I do take time off, I want to be streaming. I'm like, who is this girl?
Well, it's obviously made for you. I mean,
Maybe, I don't
it's
know, maybe.
it's made for you, and you're made for it in a way. It's but it's become that way, hasn't it? It's become such a big part of your life, and you're enjoying it, and
Oh
folks are
yeah.
enjoying watching, obviously, and being a part of it.
Hmm.
Have you gotten to realize yet that they're coming back for you?
I don't know. Maybe I have noticed, and something that I feel the most blessed about is there are people who are still quite active in my chat and then also in my community via Discord or like replying on Twitter that have been around since I started last year September.
Hmm.
And for me that's kind of like the big success. More so than anything else, I feel really proud and really humbled that people would still be around that long. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe it can't be about the games because I've played over 80 at
Hmm.
this point. It has to maybe we're friends now, right?
Yeah,
Maybe we're just hanging out.
yeah. And it's like the old radio business in a way because in the old days when radio you actually used to play music, um,
Hmm.
you could hear that song on a lot of different stations. And
Yeah.
but you came back to listen to the station whose announcer had the better voice, had the better
Hmm.
personality, and you enjoyed what
Hmm.
they did. And this is a lot of the same thing with VTubers.
Oh,
Um,
that's a
yeah, I mean,
really good way to think about it.
well, that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this is because I'm kind of passing the torch a little bit. I think after
Hmm.
you know so many years in radio,
Hmm.
but there is a lot of similarities in if you look at it that way. And VTubers are today's disc jockeys. In that
Mm.
people are coming back for you. Maybe you change your format. Maybe you change your
Hmm.
name because DJs did that a lot too. Um, and but they're still coming back for the personality and the
Hmm.
person behind it. And I hope folks understand that because um, that's special.
Hmm.
That's a special thing. Don't let it get to your head too much. But it is kind of special, and I'm you talked about with Ike Evelyn. Um, you came back because you liked him.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I still watch his streams as much as I can,
yeah.
and
So
it's been a couple years.
yeah, so you kind of got you kind of understand what I'm saying. He could be
hmm
playing the same Final Fantasy game that everybody else is playing.
hmm
And but he's doing it, so it's better.
Right, right. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So, how about the collaborations? Have you been able to do a lot of those?
Oh, yeah. The really great thing about starting around the same time as like a group of friends is that we have all kind of grown into this community together. Um, so I just celebrated my 1 year and I had a bunch of collabs and people who have also been streaming in this past year joined me. We've played a few games together and then I've got collabs coming this month. Um, of people who started a little bit after me. And then, of course, like birthdays and things like that are always a great chance to get together. I became a little infamous amongst my friends um, with a little game called Battleship.
Oh, yes.
There is a Steam version of Battleship still put out by Hasbro. And honestly, the first time I played, I did it just for fun, right? But I got so playfully toxic playing this game of Battleship with one of my friends that other people that are our friends were like, "Oh my gosh, can we please play Battleship?" And it's gotten to the point where my community have been asking for a redeem. Like, okay, if we earn this many channel points, will you please play Battleship with me? It's like it's the silliest thing, right? Because
Yeah.
it's not a very like exciting game. It's still like you look at one screen. It's Battleship,
Yeah,
right? There's no bells and whistles. It's
yeah.
literally just just talking trash to a
Yeah.
friend.
A5.
And
Yeah. But
oh,
but it is a real good way to really just bury somebody's nose in it.
exactly, exactly. My ending move is when I know where their last little battleship
Mhm.
is to start missing on purpose. Just this like cat and mouse game and they'll like come on just do it and I'm like oh no I missed,
Yeah.
what am I gonna do? It's so unhealthy. I
It
need help. It's
that
a problem.
that is very, very evil. I'm very proud of you for it.
Thank you.
Uh, well, obviously you're having a great time, and the folks who are
Mhm.
on with you are having a great time as well. What is your? Do you have a big goal for what you want to do with the channel?
Oh goodness. I looking at what I've done so far in streaming and thinking about what I want to do. One of my teachers, when I was in school in Korea, after graduation, our teacher gave us this bit of advice that was like, okay, you've graduated, now you start. So now that I hit like this kind of 1 year, I was lucky enough to become an affiliate in my first year. Um, I want to look at those things not as like a goalpost to rest on. I want to look at those as like starting points.
Mm.
This past year, I focused a whole lot on gaming content.
Yeah.
And so now this year, I'm kind of looking at, oh, well, you know what? I used to teach written narrative classes, which included like kind of Dungeons and Dragons campaigns just for
Oh.
fun, for kids after school.
Yeah.
So like, wouldn't that be kind of fun to integrate?
Oh yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I don't know when this will air, so this might be like a tasty little secret if it comes out too early.
Yeah.
I'm actually working with there's a program called Stream Avatars, if you've
Mhm.
heard of it. It's basically anyone who's active in your chat will have this like little avatar kind of dancing around back and forth on the bottom of your screen.
Oh yeah, I've
Um,
seen a little bit things
and
like
so
that. Yeah.
Mhm. So we have one for my channel. My community is called the Dust Fluffs. And so they're these little bunnies that hop around and they can do little basic commands. And two of the commands that they can do are move left and move right. So right now I'm working on a choose your own adventure narrative
Oh.
where I've planned out the entire story and then basically at the end of every kind of little reading bit, they can choose command left or command right to make their choice. And it's kind of a majority win situation to go through this story. So things like that. I want to focus a lot more on doing non-gaming content, like more creative things.
That's actually pretty brilliant. I really like that. You really get the entire community involved that way.
Yeah, that's also something that I want to be really conscious of this year, because I feel like I have been like so blessed and welcomed so kindly by my community that I want to make sure that as I grow this year and do more things, that everything that I do is also for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's, everyone has like different motivations for creating content or for streaming or for what they do. But I think one of my biggest motivations is just to build like a community of people who are comfortable and having a good time and feel like they have a place where they can be happy and belong. So I really want to always keep that in mind with things that I'm creating. So I didn't want to just do like storytelling. I wanted to do storytelling that was interactive with them.
I tell you what,
mm-hmm.
You can come back anytime.
Gladly. Oh my goodness.
Whenever you'd like to come on, it's absolutely a pleasure to talk with you and meet with you. And folks, you can hear the smile never left her voice. She's
just a yapper.
It's really great to hear somebody as enthusiastic and enjoying themselves as much, and enjoying being with the people, and a great outlook you have with it too. I'm wishing you every bit of success, because
oh my goodness, thank you.
You're definitely earning it as far as I'm concerned, which means absolutely nothing, but still you can.
No, it means everything. Oh my goodness, thank you.
Don't tell my wife. But really, I think I'm really appreciative of you coming on. And folks, we're gonna have the links that you can see what Meonji's got going on. You got YouTube eventually coming up, right?
Yes. So I've got a few plans. I took into consideration, I had like multiple polls to see what my community kind of wanted from me. So live content is going to be mostly like gaming, and then some, chat kind of integrated community stuff. But for YouTube, they wanted cooking and some art. That was another kind of big goal. I am a tragically poor artist, but I have a lot of spirit. So an art journey, like lots of different stuff. My channel, my Meonji is a dust bunny who lives in this magical library. So they wanted reading content. So I've got a whole library backed up of like public use books. We can have nice, calm reading videos.
Now,
so there's going to be a little bit of everything over there.
Well, among your other talents, your voice is excellent for it. So it's going to be.
Oh my God.
I mean, really, it's going to be. That's absolutely right up the alley. You're not going to have any problem with that whatsoever.
Well, here's hoping.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on. Absolute pleasure talking with you.
And, oh my goodness, thank you. This was my first time doing an interview. I'm so excited.
Well, next time I'm giving you the microphone and you can talk to me, because you just carried this one. I didn't have.
I'm a serial yapper. I can't stop.
I didn't have to do nothing. This is one of my easiest ones.
Oh, goodness.
Thank you so much, Meonji.
Thank you. Oh, my goodness. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for listening to Eric Loy Interviews. Join us again next time when we talk to another member of the always interesting VTuber community.